Festival celebration. We're all very excited. We have some great storytellers with us this evening and some wonderful recordings of some of our storytellers from this year. So I just want to give you a little bit of background information. My name is Chris with Tampa-Hillsborough County Public Library. I'm about to introduce our great storytelling group here, but I just want to let you know that since last February, young people in Hillsborough County have been learning stories and following along with our online workshops and story school. And they've been taking workshops at Hillsborough County Public Libraries and taking workshops at Hillsborough County Schools host programs. These storytellers have all told their stories and have been evaluated. And now we are celebrating their achievements. And all the storytellers who have attained the festival quality level will have their videos shown on the YouTube channel that I mentioned earlier, youtube.com/TampaHillsLive. I'm going to post that in the chat section, so if anyone wants to grab the URL, you can do it there. But as you can see, we have some guests here this evening. Right before I introduce them, I also want to tell you that we have 3 ambassador storytellers who will be featured in our program. And each of our storytellers, professional storytellers, will be introducing those. And I guess you're wondering who we have with us. Well, we have some adult storytellers. We have Katie Adams. Hi, Katie.
Hi.
We have Wendell Campbell. Hey, Wendell, how are you?
Hey, everybody.
We have Lorian Mariachi. Hi, Lorian.
Hello.
And we also have Stephanie Lasordo, who has been a long time and very valued volunteer with the Storytelling Festival. She's been working all year long with this, with the group, and we really appreciate her as well. So let's go ahead and we're going to turn things over to Lorian for our first segment here, and the rest of us will turn off our microphones and cameras and we'll get started, okay?
Hello. As Chris said, I'm Lorian Mariachi, and I'm a storyteller with the Tampa-Hillsborough County Storytelling Festival. And I have been since I was like 9 years old, which was at least 5 years ago. So I would like to share with you today the story of Anansi and Turtle. Now, there's a few things you need to know before we get started. So one of them is Anansi. You need to know a little bit about him. He's a trickster from African folklore, particularly, I believe, the country of Nigeria. And he's super tricky. And sometimes he's a man and sometimes he's a spider. And in this story, he'll be in the form of a spider. And he's super smart, but his smarts he uses to trick other people. And the main purpose of most of his trickery is food. He wants more food, or he wants to keep his food, or he wants to trick people into giving him food. But Anansi is a really big food guy. That's his thing. Now, that might be because of the other thing that you need to know. Because, like so many stories, Anansi is from long ago and far away. So during his time, food was a pretty important thing. They didn't have like Uber Eats or DoorDash or Instacart. They didn't have grocery stores they could go to. They didn't have Airbnb or hotels of any kind. And they didn't even really have cars or bicycles or any mode of convenient transportation. So that made something super important. And that something is called hospitality. So everybody, I want you to just say it with me one time. Hospitality. So hospitality is when you offer people food and shelter when they're at your place. And because you didn't have cars or bikes or easy forms of transport, and you didn't have easy, super convenient ways to get food, if you went on a journey, which if you wanted to see like maybe your grandma or someone, you might have to go on a long journey. And if people did not give you hospitality along the way, if they didn't let you stay there and feed you, then you could literally die on your journey. You might not make it to your end destination. So hospitality was really, really important. Now, today, we have grocery stores, we have DoorDash and Uber Eats, we have Uber and Lyft and bicycles, e-bikes. I got an e-bike. We've got cars, we've got buses. It's pretty easy for us to get where we need to go, and it's pretty easy for many of us, hopefully all of us, to get food. And so we don't have that same problem today. Today we have what's called stranger danger. So you do not have to show strangers hospitality today. And we don't show up at strangers' houses and expect them to feed us and shelter us. But in a Nazi's time, he did. And it was really, really important, this hospitality, this feeding and sheltering. So our friend Turtle was going on a long journey to visit his grandmother. And he, being a turtle, was a little on the slower side. I mean, literally, boom, 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 boom. He was, when they say slow and steady wins the race, man, this dude was slow, but he was steady. And on his travels, on his journey to dear old Granny's house, boom, 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 he was reaching about the end of his rope for that day. He was so hot and thirsty and so hungry, and he smelled something amazing. Now, I just want you to think for just a minute about all of your favorite foods. Maybe it's pizza. My family's having pizza out there without me. Maybe it's soup. Maybe it's chicken nuggets. Maybe it's cake or hamburgers or ice cream or biryani. Whatever your favorite food is, I want you to think about that food. Think about how that food smells. Think about how hungry you feel when you smell that food. That's what Turtle was smelling. Whatever food you're thinking of, that's what Turtle was smelling. Now, what Turtle did not know was that he was smelling Anansi's food. And Anansi had made a feast for himself. And if you remember, does Anansi like to share his food? No, he does not. He hates sharing his food. It's one of his least favorite things in the world. But Turtle didn't know that either. So Turtle kept on going. He kept following his nose, boom, 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 slow and steady until he got to Anansi's door. Boom, boom, boom. Anansi opens the door. Oh, I'm Turtle, and I'm so hot, and I'm so thirsty, and I'm so hungry, and I'm tired. And I'm wondering if you would show me hospitality. Now, according to the social script, Anansi is supposed to say yes. And he knows this, and Turtle knows this, but it's still polite to ask. But does Anansi want to say yes? No, he does not. But he can't say no because it might mean the difference between life and death. It's like something you don't do. So Anansi said the only thing he could say, yes, Turtle, come on in, I'll feed you. And so Turtle started to come in, boom, 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 and Anansi's brain is working furiously about how he can get out of this. And Turtle sits down on his shell, and he puts his, I guess their paws up on the table, and Anansi gets it because Turtle has been trekking slowly and surely through the dust of the ground, and when he puts his paws on the table, they are gross. They're dirty and muddy, and there's like leaves and sticks and stuff sticking to them, and it's just disgusting. And so Anansi, light bulb moment, says, oh, Turtle, I don't know where you come from, but where I come from, when someone shows you hospitality, you do not sit at their table with paws like that. You need to go down to the lake and you need to wash your paws. And then you can come back and have some of our wonderful feast. Oh, Turtle was sad because he was so hot and so thirsty and so hungry and so tired. But Anansi was the one showing hospitality, so the rule said that Turtle had to be respectful of him and his house rules. So Turtle walked, boom, Bum, 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 bum. Slowly and surely, all the way back down to where the lake was. And when he got to the lake, he washed his hands / paws, and he was pleased with his work, and he was so excited to get to that awesome food. And he walked a little bit faster back instead of bomb, bomb, bomb. It was more like bomb, 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 bomb. But so he finally gets back, and Anansi was halfway through all of the food from the feast. But that was okay because half was enough for Turtle, so he went to sit down. But guess what happened? When Turtle washed his paws in the lake, they got wet, and when you walk slowly and steadily through the dirt with wet paws, they get dirty again. So when he sat down at Nancy's table, I don't know where you're from, Turtle, but seriously, you cannot sit at my table with paws that look like that. So Turtle had to go slowly and steadily, boom, 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 all the way back down to the lake, washed his hands again, put his hands back on the dirt, realized it was going to get muddy again. So Turtle, being pretty smart himself, took some of the lily pads and used vines and wrapped them around his clean paws to make shoes, and went boom, 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 right back to where Anansi was waiting with an empty table. Anansi had eaten all of the food while Turtle was gone, and so Turtle had to go to bed, hot, thirsty, and hungry, but at least he wasn't tired anymore. Well, he finished his journey and he went back home, and before too long, Anansi went on a journey. And Anansi went on a journey to see his dear old granny. And as he was walking, he was getting toward the end of his day. He was hot. He was thirsty, hungry, tired, and he smelled the most glorious smells you can imagine. So take just a minute again and imagine your best smells. It can be a different food than last time. If you said hamburgers last time, but you're feeling chocolate cake this time, you go for it. You do you. Whatever it is you're imagining smelling awesome, that's what was cooking. But unbeknownst to Anansi, the smells were bubbling up from the bottom of a lake where Turtle lived. So Anansi crawled over to the side of the lake and threw some rocks in, because that's how you knock on a turtle's door. And Turtle popped up at the surface of the lake and said, "Oh," and Anansi said, "Oh, Turtle friend, I don't know if you remember me, but back a little while ago when you were visiting your dear old granny, I showed you hospitality. Do you remember that, Turtle?" And Turtle was thinking, "Oh, I remember your hospitality, Anansi." But what he said was, "Yes." And so Anansi just kind of shrugged, and Turtle's like, "Anansi, why don't you come down for dinner?" Oh, the bubbles of wonderful smells were coming up, and Anansi was so excited, and he jumped all 8 of his little spider legs on the surface of the water. And that was as far as he got. And Turtle was swimming down below the surface, but Anansi was stuck on top, and he tried frantic movements, took a deep breath and shoved his head into the water, couldn't make any headway to get down toward Turtle's house. So he looked around, and he was really smart, especially when it came to getting food, and he was wearing his travel jacket, and he saw some pebbles along the side of the lake. So he put them in his pockets and sunk down to the bottom of the lake, right into a chair at Turtle's table with all of that wonderful food laid before him. He put on a napkin, grabbed his fork and his knife, went to go in, and Turtle said, Anansi, I don't know where you come from, but around here in my house, we don't wear a jacket at the table." "Oh, I'm so sorry, Turtle." He dropped his knife and fork, took his jacket off, put it on the back of his chair, and boop, floated all the way back up to the top of the water. And then he had no jacket and no way down to get back down. And all he could do was smell the wonderful foods that Turtle was finishing off all by himself without Anansi. And I guess you could say the moral of the story is maybe one good turn deserves another. And that's the story of Anansi and Turtle. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up the name of our first student, because if you think I'm good, wait till you see our student storytellers. They've been practice for months with all sorts of professionals, and they are amazing. So who we have up is Rudra Bassetti. And Rudra is from the Lutz Public Library. He's in the 5th grade, and he's telling the story of Ugly Pie. So I will leave you for now and let you enjoy Rudra Bassetti.
Hello, my name is Rudra Bassetti and I'm from the Lutz Library. And today I'm going to tell you the story of Ugly Pie. Old Bear woke up one morning craving for some ugly pie. But the only ugly thing he had in his kitchen were some gooey sweet molasses. They tasted just fine, but not what he was quite itching for. So with a heap of hope and a hitch of his britches, Old Bear set off to find some ugly pie. And as he walked, he sang a little tune. Sweet molasses, my oh my, I'm itching for some ugly pie. And then soon he reached Grandpa Grizzle's house. And his nose twitched. And he thought he smelled ugly pie. So he rushed up to the door and knocked Grandpa Grizzle's door. And when Grandpa Grizzle opened the door, Old Bear said, my oh my, do I smell some ugly pie? Grandpa Grizzle said, I have no ugly pie, but you should give my pie a try. My pleasant pumpkin pie. That sure looks like one plump and pleasant pie, but I only want ugly pie, Old Bear said. Grandpa Grizzle saw that he only had some wrinkled old raisins, so he gave them to Old Bear because he didn't want them. And Old Bear thankfully took them because he never says no to free food. And as he went along, he smelled another scent. He took a deep breath of it. He thought it might be ugly pie because it smelled like one. And the scent led him to Ma Hickory's house and her 2 cubs, Snip and Snarl. And Old Bear rushed up to the door and knocked it. And when Ma Hickory and her 2 cubs, Snip and Snarl, opened the door, Ma Hickory and Snip and Snarl asked, what takes you to our pleasant and humble home? Old Bear said, my oh my, do I smell some ugly pie? I have no ugly pie, but you should give my pie a try. My righteous rub hard pie. That Ma Hickory said. Old Bear said, I only want ugly pie, but that sure looks like one righteous pie. Ma Hickory saw that she only had a basket of sour green apples, and no one except Old Bear would take them, so she gave them to Old Bear, and Old Bear said, no, he said yes, because he never says no to free food. And as he walked along, his nose twitched again, and he knew that meant only one thing, there was pie around. And when he came to Sweet Cicely's house, then his nose twitched even more. The pie scent must have been coming from there, Old Bear thought. And as he knocked at Sweet Cicely's door, Sweet Cicely opened the door. And Sweet Cicely asked, hello, Old Bear. What takes you to my home? Old Bear said, my oh my, do I smell some ugly pie? I have no ugly pie, Sweet Cicely said, but you should give my pie a try. My heavenly honey pie. I want no pie unless it's ugly pie, Old Bear said. And Sweet Cicely said, why, I only have this basket of ugly, bumpy walnuts, and they're yours if you want them. And you know what Old Bear says? He never says no to free food. So Old Bear took the walnuts and went back home, but he was feeling a little sad. So he sang a sad little tune. I got apples, raisins too, nuts, molasses, but I'm blue. Nothing else will satisfy my itching for some ugly pie. And as he went home, he slumped on the table, and he emptied the contents of his basket, and he inspected them. First, he inspected the apples. Those are some pretty ugly apples. And then he went on to the raisins. Those are pretty ugly raisins. I may be able to use them. And then he went on to the walnuts. What am I supposed to do with such ugly walnuts? And then Albert thought for a moment. Walnuts, wait a minute. I can make a pie myself. And as he started baking, he sang the happiest song you would ever hear. I got ugly apples, raisins too, sweet molasses and nuts. I have an itching to satisfy, and I'm going to bake an ugly pie. And so he chopped and mixed and diced and rolled the dough. And when it was ready to put in the oven, he gave it a little kiss. And then he waited, and the beautiful aroma made him dance. His toes twitched, his nose twitched, and his belly gave a happy dance. And when he opened it, he heard a doorbell ring. Ding dong, ding dong. And when he opened it, to his surprise, there was Grandpa Grizzle, Ma Hickory, Snip and Snarl, and Sweet Cicely. And Old Bear asked, what are you doing here? And they all said, we wanted to taste some of your pie. And Old Bear gratefully said yes. And as they all ate, they sang a happy song. Ugly apples, nuts, red raisins too. We love ugly pie, we do. We're so glad we could try. Old Bear scrumptious, truly wondrous, beautiful ugly pie. The end.
All right. And now we're going to hand things over to Stephanie Lacerdo.
Yes, I'm very excited to welcome Stephanie Lacerdo. She is a longtime supporter of storytelling. She's been on the Storytelling Festival Committee for many years, and many of you probably saw her this spring. She was volunteering and coming out and helping with our evaluations. So welcome, Stephanie.
Hello, I'm just one of the many volunteers who have assisted with this great annual Tampa event. Welcome to the 42nd Tampa-Hillsborough County Storytelling Festival. We are so glad to have you as our audience to enjoy the months of dedicated work by our youth tellers and their professional storytelling trainers. These boys and girls have chosen their favorite tales to learn, add their personality to, and present for your entertainment. It is a long process and would not have been made possible if our community parents, caregivers, teachers, Tampa-Hillsborough County Public Library System, Friends of the Library, Storytelling Festival Committee, and others who have donated time and funding to produce this terrific festival for our community.
That's right. And Stephanie, can you tell us the story of how the Storytelling Festival got started?
Once upon a time, 42 years ago, a talented Tampa educational TV personality named Virginia Rivers was tasked by the city of Tampa to organize the festival. Her vision was to share her love for stories with people of all ages. She wanted to pass on the tradition and art of oral storytelling. Storytelling is one of the most ancient arts since man first sat around a campfire. You may also know Virginia for her creative arts children puppet shows, which demonstrate a different aspect of storytelling. All stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end result. The setting of the first festival was held in 1980 at the old Curtis Hickson Center. It was very small and with only a few children telling, with the help of a local adult storytelling group. Virginia took on the festival with the idea that the festival would not be a contest, but that all children who were evaluated to be festival quality could tell at the festival. Since then, it has grown to hundreds of tellers and has been held at the University of Tampa, Hillsborough High School, Middleton High School, W.B. Saunders Library, and due to COVID, now virtually. With grants from the Arts Council, national storytellers as Jackie Torrance, Lucia Gonzalez, Noah Brown, Kuniko Yamamoto, Michael Norton, Donna Washington, Michael Parent, and Bobby Norfolk, to name a few, have performed on stage inspiring young tellers each year.
So now that we know a bit about the history of the festival, what is happening with the festival these days?
Well, new ideas blossomed, and with the assistance and support of our talented county library staff, we have a link on the HCPLC, Hillsborough County Public Library Cooperative, webpage to the festival. A virtual festival has been created and will reach an even wider audience than we could have ever dreamed. We may be small again, starting virtually, but like that little engine that could, we can grow like that great big enormous turnip because everyone loves a good story.
Yes, we do. And why is storytelling such an important educational tool?
Through the 8-week training process, the tellers learn the different types of appropriate stories that lend themselves to the oral tradition, as folk tales, fables, myths, fairy tales, legends, and tall tales. Skills are taught to enhance the telling and keep the interest of the listeners. Tellers learn how to project their voices, being poised while speaking, making sure they deliver the story with correct enunciation and pronunciation, that the story flows by not memorizing it, but word for word, but by making it their own, that their speech is clear, distinct, and paced, make eye contact, and use character voices and movements to enhance the story. These skills lead to a positive presence for public speaking in the classroom and other venues. It is a happy feeling to see the confidence building in these children, enabling them to tell in front of a group and enjoy it while they're doing it. Yeah. These are lifelong skills. Sometimes it takes more than one try, but it motivates them and encourages them to get it right and continue in next year's festival. It is a friendly competition, not a contest. Many of our youth have won the Tropicana speech competition in local schools over the years. Some are now professional storytellers, such as Lorian Mattiacci, who started as a young child, became an ambassador teller, later on a college professor, and is now a very important member of the storytelling board. Or Kim Rivers, Virginia's daughter, who is a professional storyteller traveling the state and elsewhere, and also the organizer for the White Springs Folk Festival. The backbone of justifying the rationale of how storytelling is educational can be found in longtime educator, author, and one of our past board members, Victoria Gregor's The 42 Reasons for Teaching Storytelling. And the curriculum tie-ins to art, history, geography, literature, math, music, and science.
This is so interesting. You can find those 42 reasons on the coaching manual that you can find on the website, the Hillsborough County Public Library, on the storytelling landing page. But how can folks find out more about storytelling?
Has your interest piqued? Go to the HCPLC website to find out more on the festival and how to become a storyteller. You can download for free our Once Upon a Story training manual. You can also view Story School on the site, which is a video in steps taught by our own Lorian Mattiacci with professional storyteller Katie Adams demonstrating telling. Use the manual and the videos together, and that's a perfect approach for training storytellers.
So when these young people have learned their stories, what else can they do with their storytelling? How far can they take their storytelling?
Well, like I said, our festival has never been a competition. All participants earn a certificate and a ribbon. Those who are able to deliver the appropriate story in front of an audience are judged festival quality and are given the opportunity to tell at the annual festival or now virtually. Our super tellers are deemed ambassadors, and they represent the festival at community events for the city and county when requested. They may also share their stories at local civic club meetings, library events, and on stage with the professional tellers when our festival is in person. Some are judged again by the state of Florida and national storytelling organizations, such as the National Youth Storytelling Showcase in Utah, Youthful Voices at the Florida Storytelling Festival, and the Florida Folk Festival, and are given invitations and grants to attend. These children are given opportunities of joining in with professional storytellers to hone their skills. Storytelling is a career for many people as performers, public speakers, or motivators. All you need is a good story and a public speaking persona, and you're on your way. The training and festival are outlets to experiment and dabble. Whether you want to sit around a campfire on a dark and stormy night telling ghost stories, telling what you did over summer vacation to your class, or giving the valedictorian speech to your graduating seniors, the basics of storytelling will always be with you. Well, I've come to the end of what the festival is about. No, wait, maybe it's the beginning.
I think you're right. I think it's just the beginning. And thank you so much for giving us all this great information, Stephanie. And now we said it's just the beginning. We want to bring on another storyteller, Wendell Campbell.
Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Katie. I am so proud to be a part of the Storytelling Festival. Like Stephanie said, it began a long time ago. And I'm a retired school teacher. I've been teaching about 41 years. Stephanie was actually one of the people who introduced me to storytelling, in a way. When they brought in a storyteller by the name of Jackie Torrance, back around 1990, I took my class to see Jackie Torrance. And I was just about captivated by Jackie Torrance. She's the best storyteller that I have ever seen. But after the program, that night, they had dinner with Jackie Torrance, and I was invited too. And I became a storyteller. I started learning some of Jackie Torrance's stories, and I still tell one of her stories to this very day. But today, I want to tell you one of the new stories that I've been learning. It's called The Great White Man-Eating Shark. You can find it in your library. Now, this story is about a shark. Now, a long, long time ago, there was a movie by the name of Jaws. Around 47 years ago, the movie came out. I was in high school, and the movie was a very, very, very scary movie because it had this shark, and this shark went around the ocean attacking people. And every time the shark was about ready to attack somebody, they had this background music. Now, the background music was a scary thing because as soon as the shark was going to attack, you heard doom, 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 doom. Dun, 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 dun. So when I tell my story, I'm going to need some background musicians. When I say hit me, we're going to do the first dun, and I'll hold up one finger. If I say hit me again, I'm going to hold up two fingers and you go dun, dun, dun. If I say hit me again, I'm going to hold up four fingers and you go dun, 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 dun. When I say hit me again, I'm going to hold my fist up and you just repeat it until I go like this. Ooh. At the end, we all go, ooh. I'm going to try it one time. Hit me. Hit me. Hit me. Hit me. So we're going to do that in the story every once in a while. A long time ago, there lived this young boy and his name was Norman. Norman, he was a good actor, but he was rather plain. In fact, Norman, he looked pretty much like a shark. He had small sharkish eyes and a pointed sharkish head and sharp sharkish teeth. Unfortunately, there weren't too many plays written with good parts for sharks, so Norman, he took up swimming instead. And he soon was able to swim through the water like a silver arrow. Now, Norman, he lived near this wonderful beach called Carmel Cove. And every time Norman started swimming through the water like a silver arrow, folks would get in his way, and this made Norman mad. Dadgummit, Norman said. What's the use of being able to swim through the water like a silver arrow when every time I do it, somebody gets in my way? So Norman, he came up with this wicked plan. Out of a piece of plastic, Norman carved himself the dorsal fin of a great white man-eating shark. He strolled around the headland and he strapped that dorsal fin on and he jumped into the clear blue water. Now, Mrs. Scapiro, who ran the town bakery, she was just bobbing harmlessly up and down in the water when all of a sudden she saw coming toward her, hit me, the dorsal fin of a great white man-eating shark. Hit me. Now, if you are ever in the water and you see the dorsal fin of a great white man-eating shark coming straight toward you, hit me. The thing to do is to get out of the water in a calm, dignified manner. But Mrs. Scapiro, she didn't know this. Hit me. Ooh, shark, shark, she yelled. She flung herself on the beach, kicking and screaming with terror. What a panic she caused. All up and down Carmel Cove, people were grabbing their children, their pets, their inflatable toys. Within minutes, the beach was covered with dripping bodies and the entire sea was empty. Everybody else stared at the cruising dorsal fin. Some folks say they could even make out the shape of a great white man-eating shark swimming underneath it. And Norman, he was such a good actor that even when he came up for air, folks thought he was looking for prey. And it was a hot day too. No one dared go swimming. Norman had the whole of Carmel Cove to himself all day. Everybody else watched the cruising dorsal fin. No one wanted to share the beach with a great white man-eating shark. At last, Norman, he swam around the headland and he disappeared from sight. After that, everybody else, except for Norman, was too afraid to go swimming again. They all started yelling, Norman, Norman, get out of those waters. There's a great white man-eating shark swimming around those places. Norman said, nonsense. It's probably a basking shark or a whale shark, and they're vegetarians. Norman had the whole beach to himself for 3 whole days. After that, a few brave souls, tired of seeing Norman swim up and down, back and forth like a silver arrow, decided to take a dare. And one by one, 2 by 2, and all by all, they all jumped in and started enjoying the swimming and the sun. But Norman, he had gotten used to having Carmel Cove to himself. So he strolled around the headland, strapped that dorsal fin on, and he jumped back into the clear blue water. Now, Mr. Dorsey, who was the town plumber, he was showing his son Courtney how he could stand on his head underwater. Something plumbers sometimes had to do when all of a sudden he found himself nose to nose with Norman. Hit me. Now, he didn't recognize Norman. He thought he was nose to nose with a great white man in his shark. Hit me. Now, if you are ever nose to nose with a great white man in the shark, thing to do is to get out of the water just like you were going back to the beach and put suntan lotion on yourself. But Mr. Dorsey, he didn't know this. Hit me. All of a sudden, he started yelling, "Shark, shark!" Out of the water, he ran. He grabbed his son, Courtney, screaming and dripping with terror. Within minutes, Norman had the whole beach to himself all day long, and he spent all day long swimming up and down, back and forth like a silver arrow. Soon, a few people couldn't take it no longer. One by one, two by two, and all by all, they jumped back in and started enjoying the swimming and the sun. But Norman, he was greedy. He wanted Karma Cove to himself all the time. So he strolled around the headland, strapped that dorsal fin on, and he jumped back into the clear blue water. And suddenly, he felt he wasn't alone. Hit me. Somebody was swimming next to him. Hit me. Who could it be? There, nuzzled up next to him, was a great white man in his shark, a female. Hit me. She didn't recognize Norman. She thought Norman was another shark. "Ooh, baby," she said, "you are the shark of my dream. Marry me at once or I shall get angry and bite you." Norman shot out of the water like a silver arrow, dorsal fin and all, flung himself on the beach, kicking and screaming with terror. Everybody can see just what Norman had been up to. After that, the people of Karma Cove put a shark net at the mouth of the bay, and Norman, he sat on the beach watching other swimmers swim back and forth, to and fro like silver arrows. He had such a terrible fright that shark net or no shark net, he was too afraid to take a dare. He was just a little boy, but he made a pretty convincing little shark. And I do believe he was pretty smart not to take a dare. And that is the end of the story of The Great White Man-Eating Shark. You can get that in your library, I know that, sure. So, that was my story. But now I want to introduce you to one of my favorite storytellers. I was at a couple of places. I was at Bloomingdale Library, and I was at Booker T Elementary. And I trained a few storytellers, and I want to introduce you to Xavier Wallace. He's a fourth grader at Booker T Washington Elementary School, and he is going to tell the story of the Three Billy Goats Gruff.
Hello, my name's Xavier Wallace, and I'm going to be telling the Three Billy Goat Gruffs. One day there was three goats. Their names was Little Will, Brother Bill, and Rough Tough Gruff. And they lived on a grassy valley. And there was a nasty troll named Sid, and he loved to eat goats. One day Little Will wanted to go to the other side of the bridge. So he ran up to her. And Sid the troll jumped out and started to sing, "I don't want chicken or beef or pork, I want some goat on my fork." "Don't eat me," says Little Will. "My brother will have a goat surprise." "A goat surprise? That sounds great." Then comes along Brother Bill. And Sid the troll jumps out and starts to sing, "I don't want beef or chicken or pork, I want some goat on my fork." "Don't eat me," says Brother Bill. "My brother will have a goat surprise. All you have to do is wait here and he will come along." "A goat surprise, that sounds yummy." Then comes along Rough Tough Gruff. And Sid the troll jumps out and starts to sing, "I don't want pork or beef or chicken, I want some goat on my fork." And Rough Tough Gruff says, "Well, here's what you've been waiting for, my goat surprise." And he rams him off the bridge and makes him feel sick. And after that, Sid the troll moved far, far away. And then after that, the three Billy Goat Gruffs lived happily ever after on the other side of the bridge.
Now, that was one of my favorite storytellers, but before I go, I want to introduce you to a person that without this person, the Hillsborough County Storytelling Festival probably wouldn't happen. Her name is Katie Adams. She's a professional storyteller, and she's been telling for years and years and years. She's the person who, along with a few more people, helped organize this storytelling festival, and I think she has done a fantastic job. So without any further ado, I give to you Katie Adams.
Thank you, Wendell. I really enjoyed that shark story and Xavier's story of the three billy goats gruff. I'm so excited to see all our young people telling these stories. So today I brought with me a fairy tale, and this is a story that's been made famous by Hans Christian Andersen. A long time ago, in the Enchanted Kingdom, in the big white castle, lived the king and the queen and their son, the prince. Now, the prince was looking for a princess because he wanted to get married. He said he could not find a real princess. Now, one evening, a huge storm blew into the Enchanted Kingdom, and there was thunder and lightning and lots of rain pouring down. The king and the queen and their son, the prince, were all cozy in their castle. They had started a fire in the fireplace. They pulled their chairs up close to the fireplace and they leaned in. Ah, it was so nice. The queen looked at her son. She said, "My dear, when are you going to get married? I want to have some grandchildren." Her son said, "Mom, I've been looking for a princess. I mean, I went to the east, I went to the west, I went to the south. I find these young ladies and they're wearing sparkly crowns and shiny dresses, but when I get to know them, they're not real princesses. And I'm not getting married until I find a real princess." His mother said, "Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear." Well, just then there was a really loud noise. Boom! But it wasn't thunder or lightning. It was a knock on the front door. So the king stood up. He said, "I'll get it." He walked down the long hall to the front door. He lifted the big wooden latch. He pushed open the door. And he looked out into the darkness, and there was a young woman standing there. She was shivering cold, soaking wet. She said, "Oh, sir, could we stay here for the night, please? We've lost our way in this storm. Could we stay here, please?" The king said, "Certainly, my dear. Come in, come in." The young lady came in and the water was just pouring off of her. A big pool of water formed on the floor. The king said, "Come this way." And he led her down the hallway into the living room. As she walked along, her shoes were so full of water, they sounded like this: squish, squash, squish, squash, squish, squash. When she got into the living room, the king put her right up next to the fireplace. Ah, she started to feel a little better. They brought her a big fluffy white towel. She wrapped that around. Oh, she started to feel even better. And then they brought her a big mug of hot chocolate. Oh, she felt much better. The queen came over and she said, "My dear, it's so nice to meet you. Where are you from?" And the young lady said, "Well, I'm from the kingdom up north. I live there with my mother, the queen, and my father, the king." The queen said, "Oh, you are a princess." The young lady did not look like a princess at all. She looked terrible. Her hair was all plastered down, soaking wet. Her clothes were torn and muddy and ragged. She did not look like a princess at all. The queen said, I know how to find out if she's a real princess. So she went down the hall and up the stairs to the guest bedroom where the young lady was going to stay for the night. She opened up the door. She looked at the bed. She said, "Oh, that will never do." And she started taking the bed apart. Here, you can help me with this. We need lots of help to fix this bed. She grabbed a hold of the pillow and she pulled it off the bed. Here we go. And then she grabbed a hold of the blankets on the bed and she pulled those off. Here we go. And then she grabbed the sheets and pulled all those off. And then she grabbed the top mattress and she pulled that off. That's why I need help. Here we go. And then she reached into her pocket and she took out one tiny dried green pea. And she set it right on the bottom mattress. Then she had to put the bed all back together again. So she called to her servants and she asked for more mattresses. So the servants came running down the hall with a wagon piled high with mattresses. And then they started putting the mattresses back on the bed. So help me out with this. They took the first mattress and they put that on the bed. Yeah. The second mattress went on the bed. The third mattress. The fourth mattress. The fifth mattress. Yeah. And when they got it done, you needed a ladder to climb up to the top of that bed. And that's what happened when the young lady came to the guest bedroom for the night. She opened the door, she looked at the bed, she said, oh, and she started climbing up the ladder. She went all the way up to the top of the ladder and she sat down on the bed. She was so tired. She just laid her head down on the pillow. She sat back up again. There was some sort of big hard rock in the bed. It felt like it was about this big. Well, that wasn't comfortable. So the princess scooted to the other side of the bed and then she laid her head down on the pillow again. She sat back up again. She could still feel that great big rock in the bed. It seemed like it was about this big. She thought she could sleep at the end of the bed. So she curled up into a tight little ball right at the end of the bed. Now she didn't have room for her arms and legs. All night long, she flipped and flapped and tossed and turned. She could not find a comfortable place to sleep on that bed. At the end of the night, just as the sun was coming up, she sat on the end of her bed. She looked worse than ever. Now her hair was all sticking out like this. She had dark circles under her eyes from not sleeping. She said, "Oh, that rock was so uncomfortable." She said, "Oh, look, I've even got bruises on my arms from that great big rock in the bed." She slid down off of the bed and she walked down the hallway into the kitchen where the king and the queen and the prince were having their supper. The queen was, or they were having their breakfast. The queen was sipping her tea. And when she saw the princess come into the room, she said, "Oh, my dear, how did you sleep last night?" The young lady said, "Oh, I'm sorry, but I couldn't sleep very well at all. There was some sort of great big rock in the bed. Look, I've even got bruises from that rock. I couldn't sleep at all." The queen said, "Oh, I'm so glad. Only a real princess could feel that tiny little green pea under all those mattresses. That was that rock you felt in the bed, my dear. You are a real princess." Well, when the prince heard that, he came over and he started talking to the princess. He got to know her better. He found out all sorts of things about her. They started going on dates. And now I hear the princess from the north is going to marry the prince here in the Enchanted Kingdom. And that's the story of The Princess and the Pea. Thank you for listening. And now I'm so excited to bring on our last youthful storyteller. And this is an ambassador teller from Dunbar Elementary Magnet School. Her name is Kalia Austin, and she's going to tell us the story of Abby Yo-Yo.
Hi, my name is Kalia, and I am from Dunbar Elementary. Today, I will be retelling the story of Abby Yo-Yo. Once, there lived a father and a son. The father and the son both lived in a village. They annoyed the villagers so much because the son had a ukulele he would carry around and walk around and stop only when he wanted to stop. The father had a wand and would make things disappear with it. Like if someone was drinking something, they would be tilting and ready to drink it, and the father would just make the cup disappear. Zoop! And then whatever they were drinking just spilled all over them. The villagers got so sick and tired of that they kicked them out of their village. They said, "Never come back. Stay away from us. Go away." Now the son and the father were walking towards the little house in front of the village. The father told his son that there was a big monster called Abby Yo-Yo. The next morning, when they woke up, they heard people yelling and the ground was shaking. The son grabbed his father with his ukulele and his wand. As they ran outside, there was Abby Yo-Yo. They were kind of scared, and the villagers were telling them to run away. "Go away! He'll eat you! Don't go close to him!" The father and the son weren't listening to them, so they walked up towards Abby Yo-Yo and stopped. While Abby Yo-Yo was picking up and eating animals until he saw the father and the son. He was still picking up and eating animals while the son whipped out his ukulele and started playing a tune and singing a song. Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo, Yo-Yo. The Abby Yo-Yo was surprised because he never heard a song about himself before. So he started dancing around because that's how excited he was. Well, the sun kept going faster. Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo, Yo-Yo. The father finally understood what the son was doing. So he got ready with his wand. As the Abby Yo-Yo was dancing around, he got a little tired and he fell to the ground and fell asleep. The father made him disappear with his wand. Zoop! Other villagers were surprised because they didn't think they could do it. They were so happy that they started celebrating. They invited them back into the village. While they were inviting them, they put them on their shoulders and started singing the song. Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo, Abby Yo-Yo, Yo-Yo. Then they all lived happily ever after. Peace.
All right, that was wonderful. I guess that's all the time we have for the storytelling portion, but I'm going to bring our slides back up here and going to show you, here we go, how you can continue the experience. Here are some books from our online, or not online collection, from our catalog and our collection. These are just some samples of what you can find in our catalog. We have the monster at the end of this book with Grover from Sesame Street. There's Cinder Edna. Of course, The Little Prince, a great, great book there. And Anansi and the Talking Melon. This is, like I said, this is just a sample of the many books that you can find at the library. And if you want to go online and search our catalog, you can go to hcplc.org/books. And also, if you want to contact the library, you can go online at hcplc.org/contact, or you can call us at 813-273-3652. And also, while you're there on our website, you can look at our calendar of events or share your library story. And I believe Katie is now going to talk a little bit more about the festival. Can you hear us, Katie? Oh, you're muted. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to see our ambassador storytellers. Those ambassador storytellers are the ones that really come up to a high level. So glad we got to share them with you all tonight. And I also want to thank all of our sponsors and partners and people that have contributed to this event this year, the Friends of the Tampa-Hillsborough County Public Library, the Hillsborough County Public Schools, including the Library Media Services, host programs, Arts in Education, and our two schools, the Booker T. Washington Elementary School and the Dunbar Elementary Magnet School. And of course, the fabulous Tampa-Hillsborough County Public Library, including the Lutz Public Library and the Bloomingdale Regional Public Library. So thank you to all of you for helping to make this storytelling happen.
Absolutely.
And I have just a couple more things to wrap it up here for you all. If you want to check out all the fabulous festival quality storytellers, you can go to the Hillsborough County Public Library YouTube channel, which Chris was talking about earlier, and that's Tampa Hills Live at youtube.com, and you can kind of Google that, or you can search for that on the Hillsborough County website, the county library website as well. Keep in touch with us at tampastoryfest@gmail.org, and look for next year's festival at hcplc.org/storytellingfestival. And thank you all. We've had a really great time bringing the stories to you this evening.
Yes, and now if our other presenters want to come back on camera and say goodbye, we could wrap up. There we are. Wendell, Orion, Stephanie, Katie, thank you all. Thank you everyone who joined us. Thank you all the storytellers. What a great festival we've had.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye everyone. Have a great night. We'll see you soon.